Everybody, let's see. We got Jason, Craig, Steven, Rex, Don, Diane, Arturo, Kevin, Sergio, and Cliff, Darren, Svenborn, Mark, General Rush, Joy, Aki, Rongamer, Gary, David, Dan, blah, 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 blah. All sorts of names. Anthony, Carlene, Diane, Elisa, Valerie, Merle, Kohler, Larry, Helen. Good to see everybody, subscribers and channel members all. Can we stick the landing here? Did we make the bottom last week? I don't know. Hopefully we do. All trading involves a substantial risk of loss. Past performance not necessarily indicative of future results. This presentation intended to be informational, educational, fun, entertaining, not a recommendation to be buying or selling any financial instruments, including stocks, options, bonds, forex, futures, cryptos, treasuries. Don't long them, don't short them, don't trade them. And if you desire personal financial advice, hire and consult a financial advisor. And if you... Oh, that was cool. Leverage. If you notice... We did it. There was a big audit in Discord this weekend, removing things that were expired. It's all based on the membership system that the company runs. If you lost access to something and you believe you should have access to it, just reach out. Don't complain, but, probably have to have customer service check into it. All right. That's all based on their system. If you lost access, I'm sorry. Like, even if you think you need access to whatever it was, we'll get it figured out. All right. Just throwing that out there for everybody. It was a big, it was like an audit of almost like 1,000 subscriptions. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Anyway, hadn't pushed one through in a little while, so I do try to keep up with it day to day, but sometimes we have to reconcile the backlog. So it should match what you have access to in one click for those of you that are members, and just throwing that out there. All right. Today we got Flash Manufacturing and Services PMI. That'll happen right after the open, about 15 minutes after the open. I'm not expecting much to happen here. Supposedly manufacturing's ramping up. That's actually a forecast for a decline. So will we get a pop? Or do we get a drop? It's interesting there's no graph on that one. And then Flash Services PMI. I don't know. That's implying, that's barely a tick up, really, 0.2. So I guess we'll see what that one comes out to be. Also, and for those of you that wonder where it comes from, it's the S&P's number right there. It's actually, surprise, surprise, surprise. The S&P Global actually puts out information. So tomorrow, get some new home sales, consumer confidence, Richmond manufacturing, not a whole lot. We get Wednesday with core durable goods and durable goods, and not really much market moving stuff there. Thursday, we get final GDP on last quarter. That's like last quarter of last year. And let's see where that comes in. Looks like forecasting 2.4 for the year. I don't know. We'll see. And then Friday, this is the big show this week as far as economic news goes. 8:30 in the morning. Core PCE right there on Friday. Powell's favorite inflation number. That's the only real shocker we got this week. Now, this will kind of be the last full week of March. Wrapping it up here. As we can see, the last full week of March. Then we get one more day next Monday. Then we're into April. April 2nd. Supposedly tariff day. I don't know why April 2nd. I guess because, don't want to make a joke on April Fools. And we'll kick it off. And then we'll move into financial earnings. Like, we'll get like a full, it'll be like right here. Financial earnings will start kicking off back in here. And we usually see money flow into financial earnings. And we've got a lot. if you subscribe to the market roadmap list, it's like $5 to get a weekly list for 3 months. And if you want to add a year, it's like 15 more bucks. So like for $20, you get like 15 months of market roadmap. And that list this week has a ton of financials on it, including I threw in FAS as a bonus. We go look at it. The list is large today, so we probably should not dally too long here. But look at this, already starting to ramp in the pre-market here. This thing breaks above that 618, set up for at least. Now, I did caution on the market roadmap video that I put out. When you look at this right here, this set of highs, cool. What the heck? Quit doing that garbage. I need to remove some indicators, I guess. When you look at this, that's 1 hit, 2 hits, 3 hits, 4 hits, 5 hits. That's a pretty solid resistance right there. If you were to take this trade, and I've got the this thing turned on. If you were to take the market roadmap bounce trade right here, I might consider booking profit here. Right there. That right there, a little extra spicy, but it could work. Could work. Hey, Kimberly, my favorite subscriber. Glad to have you. And that's what we got cooking. I think there's opportunity here. Remember, 3x leverage. Leverage is dangerous. That's that leverage thing right there. 3x leverage on the bulls side of financials. And if you're like, well, I don't know if that'll go up or not. I mean, if you believe it'll go down, there's, FAZ you could play. But it looks pretty beat down. This does not look like it's going to perform here. So be careful. That's a 3x bear on financials. And this thing tends to head down in the toilet. Because financials are not horrible right now. Not horrible. So this might actually ramp up. Now, interestingly enough, check this out. This is where things get really crazy. When you put this on a... I got it right. Well, see, it's like debatable. Like, is it a log scale or is it not a log scale? Not a log scale, dip down to the 786. Potential for this to actually maybe pop up in this area, right here around 250, 300. If you put it on a log scale, this is where things get really nuts right here. Came down, measured bounce, potential, move up, retrace, hold the 50%. That means that the target could be up here at this ridiculous number. Possibly even this ridiculous number. Holy bananas. Yeah, that's like a potential 10xer if it gets up into that zone right there. Wow. Do I think it can happen? I don't know. You tell me. It's just a pattern. See it in the market. Doesn't have to work. Could fail. But it's sitting there. It's like move up, a retrace, 50%, extension out. Would typically go to the 1618, which, I mean, maybe it's a log scale. Maybe it's not a log scale. Log scale is absolute banana numbers right there. But could it do it? Could. Probably going to take a few years to get there. So, and FAS was on the list today. Funny enough. All right. Let's hit some stuff. Talk about what's actually moving. So we've got the S&P, right? It's getting a nice big fat rally here this morning. Looking pretty good. Coming up into the daily roadmap line. JT's big prediction. I think we're going to get a V-shaped recovery. So we came down pretty swiftly, right? Made the bottom right at the 618 level. I think we're going to do a recovery that looks almost as fast as that right there. Took us 16 bars, 22 days to get down here. 22 days? I mean, holy bananas. You think about that. Like, how fast could we recover? The potential to come back out of this, to be back at the all-time high. We could be there in another, like, 2 weeks. Holy cow. I mean, look at that. April 7th. We could be there potentially here. Now, conservative wise, I'd say month and a half. Month and a half. I think we're going to pull back. I don't think we'll just go ripping right back up. Now, it's possible. We've seen that kind of thing many times before. I mean, look at that. Came right up. We did a double dip before we got that one back up. But look how fast we came right back up into the highs. That one's from August. Not that long ago. Right here. See what we did. Big dip. Everybody's super bearish. Oh my gosh, the world's ending. Japanese carry trade blowing out and right back up. Took another little dip. Oh my gosh, everybody's super like, uh-oh. We're going down, making a lower low, and then rip right back to new highs. Careful out there. Even though everybody thinks we're super bearish, maybe the tariff thing's a nothing burger. Maybe we were just really waiting for the OPEX to get done. Got options expiration on Friday. Now that we're through that, this thing can go ripping back up. I am bullish. I welcome the upside. Looking for that extension. Don't expect to go over 6,600 though. Certainly not over 7,000 before we go back down below 4,000. Keep it in mind. NASDAQ coming up pretty nicely. Watching for this. And S&P has a large resistance zone. Why am I on these crazy futures? You're new here. You're like, what the fudge is this? S&P cash has been stopped since Friday. We're about to open it back up. There it goes right there. Popping up. Top of the resistance zone. We do have more resistance zone. We got this one right here for the daily, and we've got this one in here, and this one up here for the 618 level. We got to get through all this stuff between 5,800 or 5,700, which we're dipping into, we're just popping into 5,700. So between 5,700 and 5,900, we've got to get through that zone where we're at right now. I think there's substantial resistance between 5,800 and 5,900. Getting above 5,900, that's going to make things look a lot better for the upside. And when we do that, we may actually come back, retest the daily roadmap line before we can actually push higher. That may be similar to what we saw here in August. Ooh, went too far. When we popped up, came back and retested. This was a smaller time frame test. Right there. Hit the 4 hour. Before we went higher. So we may come back and test the 4 hour even. And 4 hours sitting up there. The daily actually slightly below that. Load, please. There we go, right there. Daily slightly below the 4 hour. And the 618 above those. So that's kind of the top of the resistance band. Is that 618 level. A 61.8% retrace of this drop so far. If we were to bounce off the 618, not looking good when we break back down below this area that we're at right now. So right now, really want to see this come up here at a minimum. If we come back down, bust through, probably coming on down. If we bounce off, we're going higher. That's the long and the short of it right now. NASDAQ, very much the same. Looks a little stronger on the upside potential here. We haven't made a higher high since December. On NASDAQ, it's NASDAQ futures right here. You may like, how in the devil do you convert this to QQQ prices? You just divide this number by 41 and you get in the ballpark. Or you could just do the math on the QQQ chart if that's what you want to trade. You'd be looking at a target all the way up here, 600 area. Not too shabby, considering we're at 47 right now. Not too shabby at all. So that's what I'm watching on. We do have that same big resistance zone cooking right here. Got to get above that 21.5 to really set us up for these extensions up here. 23, 24, 25,000 on the NASDAQ. Russell got a long way to go here. I think we're going to stop in this area right here. I suspect we're going to come up, find some resistance at the daily roadmap line. Retrace, maybe push on through, get to that 618 zone. while NASDAQ and S&P 500 go on to new highs. This one may stop in this area and turn down lower sometime late summer, early fall. Be careful. Oil, very interesting here. Holding the uptrend of lows, still leaves open the door that we go lower low. If we start breaking above this uptrend and the daily roadmap line right there, there's 2 levels of resistance. Start breaking through them. It sets the stage to rally right on up here, probably in the low 80s. Right there around 82. We can actually pull this down to the lowest low now. Still around 82, 83. Pull that over. And then above that is 90. And then the 618 level is up here at 105. I'm not sure we can get through 105 on the first attempt if we just go ripping up there. Now you'd be like, well, oil hadn't really moved in 3 years. Yeah, and that's exactly why it might make a big, giant move. There has been some volatility in oil in the past. We could make a big move up and test that 618 level. When this was shot, this thing shot off here. Made some big paused, shot off, paused, shot off, paused, shot off. So oil can make big moves. It hasn't in a few years. Just been grinding, grinding, grinding. It's like a spring. You wind it up, wind it up, wind it up, and then potential pop or potential drop. That's where you get a big move. So we've been winding the coil on oil, winding the coil on oil for a while. GC, not what I wanted to see as far as the Wednesday trade goes. This one may have a little more retrace to go before we can find a bottom and get going, but this is starting to look like a little baby 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, how long do we hold the 4? If that was the 2, is this it for the 4? Was it this was the long one and this was the short one? Or is this got more sideways to go before we get the nice last little pop here? Hard to tell. And it'd be somewhere off, like that high would be somewhere right in this vicinity is what I would expect, where wave 1 and wave 5 are roughly equal. 3110 would be the upside right there on gold. Just a matter of how long does it take to get there. The gold rush trade does officially end here, like another hour or so. I don't know. I may hold on to that just to see. I may hold on to my one contract just to see if we get that last little pop. Right there. Bitcoin. You know what we got to do. Very obvious right now. It's a downtrend of highs. We got to get above it if we can. 618 level. Just happens to be right at the top of that candle right there. So we got to get above that 96, 97, 98 thousand area right there where where all that consolidation was before we dropped out. Volatility and made a low potentially. May pop up here, do a little retrace before we can pop up. So don't get too freaked out. Still got a lot of stuff to work through on Bitcoin right now. I'm optimistic. This one, if you're feeling sparky, my friends, this is an opportunity. Look how dirt cheap this is. Right here, 242. I'm not saying this will go all the way back up. This is a 2x leverage on Ethereum. It's like playing with fire right here. While your hands are covered in gasoline, can burn you. You may be like, well, how do I play options? Why worried about options? This has no expiry right here. If you think Ethereum is going to recover, it has a large upside potential, possibly up here in the 6,000 to 7,000 area. From the current 2,000, that's like a 3x. So if you take and leverage that with a 2x on top of a 3x, that's a 6x. It's not a bad potential right there. for the number 2 crypto. Number 2. Coming in right here. Now, I know a lot of people thinking XRP is going to be a banger. Realistically, if this just came up and matched Ethereum, I'd be pretty impressed. I don't think it can, I mean, it's possible it eclipses it, but XRP is a company, so be careful out there. XRP is run by a company called Ripple, and I am very cautious about any crypto run by a company. Now, I'm also cautious about Ethereum because it's run by a centralized control authority of a smaller group of people. They can just make decisions and change things. They make changes to Ethereum all the time, and we've seen it lackluster performance. Has not been making higher highs this cycle so far. We haven't had a high in Ethereum since November of 2021. Think about that a minute. You're like, crypto's been pretty hot. Yeah, crypto's been pretty hot, but Ethereum has not. So be careful betting on this one. If you believe, you could go after ETHU. But yeah, lots of chaos going on in the management of Ethereum. That's right. I mean, that's like, but why is it not like a community voting control thing? Like, I mean, come on. It's like Bitcoin's beautiful. You just, the miners, anybody running the nodes has the vote. If you want to change the software, you run the new node version. If you want to keep on the same, you keep on the same. I mean, consensus by the users. Ethereum has a centralized control. Ripple has a centralized control. Even Tether has a centralized control. BNB has a company. USDC has a centralized control. It's kind of wild when you think about how many cryptos that are up here at the top have some sort of centralized control. Company involved. I don't know. That's just against what, crypto's supposed to be liberating. But, we the people of the world seem to like centralized control. Kind of lived under centralized control a lot of the history of the people on the earth. Anyway, as I mentioned Friday, if we can bust back into this box with any kind of enthusiasm, get back above the roadmap line, take it to the top, I would be very optimistic that we can see a pop out of the top and cruise on higher. At this point, we've got the low in place. We've got the high right there. We didn't quite do a 50% retrace. I'm not sure if that would be a really rough looking 5 up. There is still possibility that this is the first move down. We get some sort of retrace and make a lower move right here before we can pop. Still potential. So not really gleaning a whole lot off of global liquidity in this one right here. We're still staying in this consolidation box. Took the little diversion out in August, right back in, and took this little diversion out here. Potential to go higher. So yeah, many VCs control many of the coins. That's true. I mean, there's if you are trying to use crypto as a liberating, non-controlled financial media to exchange value, that's just not what crypto's become right now. There's very few that are. I mean, there's only one truly anonymous crypto that I know of, and it kind of does its own thing. It's just kind of wild. Dollar right here, consolidating at that 618 zone. Right in here. I think we're probably going to drop on down. The 786 right here. It's kind of the last line. If it's going to be bullish and go higher, make a new high. That 786 is kind of the last line there. If we start getting below that 102 area, we're probably going for these targets on down in the 90s. My ideal target, somewhere around 96, 97. And if that doesn't hold, we'll probably go on down to the low 90s or even 90, right in there. This is probably long term. This is probably like the next several years because this thing just not historically a fast mover here. Now, for those that think maybe this is like a 1, 2, 3, I caution that thinking. We overlapped. All right. This high right here, when we did this pullback, we overlapped. That if this is bullish at all, we'll usually return right back down near the bottom before we go higher. Now zooming out even more. Dun, 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 dun. Look at the pattern. I have a hard time, this looks like a lower high on the decline, and I would kind of expect a lower low right over here. When you look at that, kind of expect a lower low down here below this low we made in the 2008 area. Would not surprise me. Dip right down in here, 50, 60 area before we can take it higher again on the dollar. All right, I go pull everything moving $2 or more up, put it on the gainers list, $2 or more down, put it on the decliners list. There's like 120 gainers today, which is absolute insane. I'll do a few of them. I'm not sure my bladder or you want to hang around for the whole list, so I'll hit some highlights, see what we can find for opportunities, and then we'll move on with our day. How's that sound, everybody? Still opportunity for this to go up to 764 on FNGA. Now looking for a bottom here. This has opportunity, but we need to see it break back above the daily roadmap line. If you're a gambler, buy now. Put your stop right down here at 700. Yeah, that's 140 points of risk. For the upside, 1200. That's a pretty fair upside there. Spot. This one's probably on the path already. 681 is the target. Meta. I mean, you want to buy now, lower risk. Put your stop right down around 560. 760 upside target right now. This may be just a buy one and hold it. The forward potential on this one is insane. I mean, we're still like they keep price to sales is at 9, so this is still really strong here. Looking forward, they're keeping, it's not crazy. Things that are crazy are price to sales at 20. This is just hanging at 9. Look at the ramp on revenue and net margin. It's a strong. After they gave up on the metaverse, they're actually performing. So they know how to turn their community into dollars for investors. This could be a huge opportunity. I bet this, gets on up into the 1,000 area. Like targets up here, right around this 950 area. When you look at the bigger 1618, 950, potential to rally on up to 2,500. Long-term investment, you could go after that one. I'm sure there's a and there you go. Meta 2x bull. You want to buy something that's going to go outperform here? There you go. $35 a share. You double the performance. Now it does have downside risk. Be careful. That'd be more of a trade than it would be a buy and hold. MSTR. Oh, looky. Next resistance up, right up here. That 618 level at 393. So that resistance level is probably going to be on up to about 410, 415 area. These are fuzzy zones. They are not definitive lines in the sand. Be very careful. I think that's the biggest problem a lot of people have with using Fibonacci. They think the only ones that are lines in the sand are the tops and bottoms. Right? Those are lines in the sand for Fibonacci analysis. Every other fib, like when you look at extensions and you look at these retrace zones, they're zones because every algorithm out there can code for it. And then they can use a plus or minus 5% or plus or minus 3% or plus or minus 10% when they go for a target. And this right here, the reason I have the 1.1448 is that is 90% of the 1272. And to shave 10% off of that, that's where we get that purple line right there that I use for my target. That ups the win rate 5% just by going for 10% less than the 1272 extension. I'd rather exchange win rates for that marginal few pennies higher usually. So resistance right there on MicroStrategy, and the potential up there all the way to 1,000 if this thing gets rocking and rolling. They announced they have now crossed over 500,000 Bitcoins. This is inaccurate right here. Yeah, they had 499,226. They added 6,911 to bring that up to, hold on one second. I've got the number on another screen. Find it. Brings it up to 506,137 should be total Bitcoins for MicroStrategy or Strategy. Rocking and rolling. They now own 2.4% of all the Bitcoins. For anybody worried about them going out of business, unlikely. Unlikely. Alrighty. Bitcoin related, this will act as leverage Bitcoin, and it's kind of hyped up. So you wanted to go after it, but you're like, whoo, those options are pricey, because they are. MSTX is a way to do it. Nice potential. 32. Potential to rock and roll up here to like 300. Wow. Google. Consolidating down here. If we break higher, this is another value type play, you might say. Look down here. PS of 6 compared to Facebook. I mean, Facebook and Google, at the end of the day, they do the same thing. All right. Monetize a community. You can debate the finer points of all of it. Essentially, Google is monetizing the people that use their tools, which is their community. Meta is monetizing the people that use their tools, which is their community. Same exact business. At the bottom of the page. The problem here, they have not been growing net margins. They've been trying to play catch up and outperform OpenAI and so they're investing in research and stuff like that. Net margin's kind of decreasing, or at least, kind of chopping. So that's one to, maybe, maybe not. But the price to sales is substantially lower than what we see on Meta right there. Interesting. That does give Google a potential runway up. Now, just looking at the last retrace and the last extension, or this retrace and the next extension, we might top out in this zone right up here around 215, 222. And if we extend it a little bit, maybe up to 240, 250 area, right in there, possible for the next move, just based on the way it tends to move like that. Now, these dips so far for the last several years have been super great buying opportunities, and if you can hang on, hold on, we might be able to ride this to that high. I would be cautious as the market tops out at that number I've been talking about. We may experience a large correction late this year into next year. So if you're going to buy this, I would consider you might want to get out near the tops. And then Google Class A shares are the better ones. And there you go. GUX. Google X right there, 2x leverage on Google. If that's the kind of thing that you like to go after. GBTC. This is Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which is now more of a just regular ETF instead of a trust. And 90 on the upside, maybe 105 if Bitcoin can start performing. Dutch Bros, that, I don't know. That looks like a 4-hour bounce, but it could very easily, if we hold the 618 on the bounce and turn back down, can go down to the daily roadmap line. If we break above that 618 on the 4-hour, probably 92 or 97 on the upside. IBM did a 4-hour bounce, but it may come on down to the daily. That would be what I actually expect after hitting the 1618 up here on the last big bounce. Last big bounce off the daily, 1618. I would expect it to come all the way down to the daily. Now, doesn't have to. Could just be a 4-hour bounce. How do you know? Well, you take the high and you take the low. You draw the 618. When we break back above that with a daily close, back above 254, well, a 4-hour close, really, you could be looking at 269, possibly 273 up there. A-Lab, not looking the strongest. We got some work to do. All the standard resistance levels. Market roadmap line, the 618 level, and then target up there at 167. UDAO, potential for this to have bottomed. Kava, there's the potential. Potential that this is operating on the not log scale, and we hit the 618, and that sets up the target right up here at 300 for Kava. Not bad. If you wanted to buy some shares now, there you go. Hey, everybody. Hey, James. Morning. PLTR. Potential that this is the 4-hour bounce. Watch for the resistance at this zone right here where we gap down, and we've got the 618 zone. Watch for that resistance. If we get through it, we're going on to higher targets. Those levels up there, 132, 139. I'm optimistic that the market correction is done. Very optimistic. GE. And potential for this to extend on up to about 216. GEV. And potential for that one to extend on up to 473. Cruise back to GE. INOD. Probably got more downside to go. QCOM. There's the resistance up there at 180. Here's the support down here at 150. A little bit of zone on either side. If we can break through either one, that'll set the direction. Otherwise, more sideways chop on QCOM. NVDUs, leveraged NVIDIA. Check that one in a second. Dell. I still think we got downward pressure on Dell as long as we're under the roadmap line. Didn't hit ideal downside. I mean, that could be the 618 bounce and could rocket us higher here. That does set up the potential to come on up to like 230. Just not sure. Remember, this is a bigger customer of NVIDIA's than SMCI technically for servers and AI components. SMCI still looks pretty bearish though. Nail. Home builders just not turning and burning here. Be careful. This could extend on down into the 20s. STLD, Steel Dynamics, looks like it wants to go for this right here. Now, that could be a setup to go higher. I would be very careful until we start breaking the downtrend highs here. Until we start breaking out of that. I mean, this has been pretty solid resistance in here for a couple of years now. We're gonna have to get some real enthusiasm to go higher here. NVIDIA coming up into the daily roadmap line. We got in the vicinity there on Monday of last week. Hop back down, consolidating here. Next attempt should put us above. And if we can break up through the downtrend of highs, that sets us for the extension, possibly up here like 180. Like this could be done for now. Eventually, we're going to go on a bigger retrace. That doesn't have to be right now. Watch out for 618 levels. Where would those be? Let's just remove a few lines. It did not hit downside target, ideal downside target, so be careful. And that 618 comes out right in the vicinity of that downtrend of highs. So watch for what happens as we get through that little zone right there. From about 135 down to roughly 125. So about a $10 range in there. If we can get through that definitively, Nice, big, strong move. Probably going on up here and maybe get the extension of 180. If we reject off of that, probably coming down here. I don't care what kind of robots or what kind of cool stuff or GPU contracts. It's dangerous. And I say this is dangerous because their price to sales is at 31. 31. And, you know, the historic right there at 22. It's in the red line. And it's been climbing. It's getting a little crazy. Their net margins were up a little bit last quarter, but what if that takes another dive? What if it dips way back down like this? Makes it low. Eroding the margins. Coming up with new chips all the time. It's hard to stay on top. Everybody's gunning for the king. I'd be careful. Deck looks pretty bad. Looks like we're going to go lower low. Twilio. Nice. This is a nice retrace right here. Beautiful opportunity to add some here with lower risk. Confirmation of going higher above 130. Looking for 159, 167. We do have that large consolidation gappy thing set up here at 180 that we're going to have to get through to go back to all-time highs. Ukta kind of got into this target zone. I would be careful betting on it going much higher than 130 right now without another retrace. It has been relatively unfazed in the current pullback in the market. That gives me a little bit of caution there. 10 o'clock, lots of stuff firing off. Apollo firing off like crazy. UPST. Watch for the resistance right there. SCCO. Southern Copper. Not really performing. I heard FCX was rocking and rolling. Well, if we can break through the roadmap line, could be set for a bigger upside move, potentially back up to into the 55 or 60 area. Airbnb. Yeah, that's holding. We've established a downtrend of highs. We've established an uptrend of lows at this point. And I would expect it to stay in this triangle for the next several months. Shopify, buying opportunity. This is probably rocking and rolling. I might buy something. I don't know if they have a... Surprised there's not like a leveraged ETF on this one. Shopify futures. Let's see. Shopify. I've been trying to look for a leveraged ETF. I have not found one yet on Shopify. But I think this is one of those buy some shares and hold it. Probably got up to 135, 140, 150. Probably going to go cruising back to the all-time high would be my guess here. Maybe even make extensions. $195, $200 would not be... That's a double your money right there on shares. Nice upside potential. It's not going to be without pullbacks. We're going to have pullbacks. It's part of the game. And it could take a while. ANET's still working on the bottom here. If we get back above the roadmap line, we could be looking at that resistance there at the 618. So be careful. FUTU. Potential for this to come on back down, but we didn't reach the upside potential. So 137 target. DDOG. Potential to reverse that. Roadmap line would be the resistance. Hood did the bullish thing. We're probably going on up to the target here, 70, 75, 85, back to the all-time high area, right up in there. SSO, potential resistance at the roadmap line, but that also is a leveraged S&P 500 fund right here. Potential for this one to climb it out, 103, 105. Roku, shopping around in here. Potential for 117. UAO. Nice big fat. Man, look at that. We did the watermelon seed squeeze down here. We did the breakout. We hit the exact target and we retraced pretty deeply. I mean, let's check it out. This move right here, move up, retrace to the 618. This could set UAL up for a larger move on up into the 145 area. Right there. Be pretty wild. ANF, I'm not certain we found the bottom yet. I still expect a little bit down, a little bit further down in the 50s. Affirm still has potential to drop on down as long as we're below the roadmap line. Morgan Stanley still has some potential. Live Nation hanging out at the roadmap line. IBIT is Bitcoin's ETF, potential, for BlackRock, potentially pushing through that downtrend of highs. Set up the 66.77 potential target up there. IGV, roadmap line, resistance, LMT, hanging out, trying to erase the downside gap. I'm not sure. Like we're holding a long-term uptrend of lows. If we get below that though, that's not very much not good. Reportedly, they're working on a new SR-72 hypersonic jet that may be announced by the Trump administration. We'll see. We'll see. Maybe a nothing burger and they blast on down. ETHD. Watch out for this. We get below that roadmap line. Could be plummeting out. That's in contrast to ETHU I talked about earlier. TSDD. Tesla short. Be careful. That may have been as close as we can fly to the sun. This may go down. Right there. TSLQ. Same situation. Got close to the sun. This may drop out like a rock. JHX. Can definitely see that push down lower at this point. First move down, retrace. James Hardy. Oh man, this is the stuff we put on the house, babe. Home builders not looking strong. Building supplies. We actually put their product on our house. Really nice. They make a concrete board. It's like, kind of cuts and works like wood, but it's made of concrete, so it doesn't rot. Critters don't eat it. We put that on put it on the side of our little thing we built, little sunroom thing, then put it on our daughter's house where the woodpecker made a nest in the side of the house. TECS. Technology bear. If this drops down below the roadmap line here, we could see further downside. Looks like I'm going to get the whole list. EDU. Potential for this to drop on down. And UVIX. Potential for this to drop on down. Looks like I hit the whole list. Wow. Well, everybody, bias for the day. Cautiously optimistic. Remember that V-shaped thing? We could be back up there. 22 days. That could be like April 7th. Let's put a marker on here and see if it works. Should be there by April 8th. It's entirely possible. Right back up in here. Now we may stop in here. I'm gonna say I bet the V shape takes us to here. We retrace back down to the 4-hour roadmap line at the minimum before we can go higher. That could take a little bit. And then we go shooting off like that. That's what I expected to look like right there. When we get above this zone, we're going up here. All right. Be like water. If you got a real name, put it in the Rolls channel in Discord. If you want access to the extra Discord premium product stuff. I saw your name when I was checking on the audit stuff this weekend. So So be like water. If you want to, you got to authenticate yourself in the, just read the rules. Rule number 9. Anyway, like I said, I'll go check on people in Discord. If you've lost access to something you believe you should have, we'll get you sorted out. Don't get angry. It's just part of the process. We've removed like 1,000 accesses where people had refunded and expired and, various things. So have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel, 9:15. We'll go through it all again. I'm looking for this. We got to beat this resistance. Downside's down here, upside's up here. That's kind of what I'm expecting the next couple days. Be careful out there. The account you save may be your own.